Hello, the Reverend Dr. Clare Hinsley. How are you today?
I'm very well. How are you?
Good, good. Yes, thank you for joining me. One of the speakers at the Shine Celebration in August. 45 interviews, 45 speakers, 45 days, 45 minutes. I believe that you're eighth in the row. So
Okay.
you
Ooh,
are the Infinity Eight. Oh, there we go. Boom, boom, boom. Beautiful. There we go.
works for me.
So you are the eighth. Amazing. Um, so, so Claire, can I ask you, how's it going for you?
Good. Really good. I do metaphysical readings, sort of oracle card readings, and I have found at the moment there's an awful lot of blockage held deep within many people that is being removed. And this just tells me that the sort of vibration of the earth and everything is raising, and all the sort of light workers are being asked to remove the final aspects of the lowest blockages, and they are really clearing thick and fast, which, as you will know, if we remove these internal blockages, it helps the collective consciousness raise in vibration. So part of me is starting to think that, we are responsible for a lot of this vibration raising on the earth. It's not just coming cosmically, it's also coming from all the individuals who live on it as well.
Hmm, interesting. Is from a metaphysical point of view, do we have to all do that? Are we doing it at the same time? Is there some kind of an alignment going on, or are we just relying on, you know?
How I conceive it is that there are certain individuals who have a sort of an underlying higher vibration, and they are sort of the dam breakers, and they make it easier when they do the work. So I do find that the strongest of spiritual people have had to go through the toughest lessons, and had the sort of toughest experiences. And that's built up a lot of strength. A lot of issues that we see, we don't realize that they are strength building. The information that I get from through the cards and through this channeling is, I call it from they, because there's a large group of conscious beings who are very high vibrational, and they see everything in past, present, future. So they can see the result of the work that's being done in a future tense. So they see it as quite light, because they know that whatever is happening at the moment is going to end up as a really good thing, because it's for a specific purpose, usually along the life purpose. But so we, as the dam breakers, are making it a lot easier for other people. So every time we go through something, the next person in the vibrational scale has to go through less.
Hmm, interesting. I'm feeling at the moment that you're right about the blockages. And in fact, I spoke to Dan Diogi yesterday, and he was saying there was a lot of challenges. I've got my own going on at the moment on various different levels, but I'm very aware that I'm pushing through. And I think that's the difference. I think maybe a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have been aware of I might have been aware of my blockages, but I'm not aware that I'm actually stepping up, pushing forward, moving through those blockages. Um, Will say, I don't know what you feel about this, but I always find going away and being by myself really helps. I don't know if you have a take on that. I mean, do you do that yourself? Do you go away and spend time, or not as
Uh,
much as you'd like to?
Not as much as I'd like to, no. I think the majority, I mean, obviously, this is a never-ending process, so we will continue to grow and we will continue to do our work, because we're striving for something that hasn't got a limit. And that's what I like about sort of the conscious aspect of it. There's no, okay, you're done, that's it. But we continue to strive for more and more. I don't have a lot of spare time where I get to do this. So I bring this into my daily life, where I sort of look at things and I go, what is this, you know, trying to tell me? I mean, earlier I had a letter that caused a little bit of distress, but just before that, I had 3 dragonflies come into the house and attach themselves to the curtain. And so I quickly looked up what's dragonflies, and it said, "Don't be so serious."
There
And
we
then
go.
the next thing, I open this serious letter and I think, okay, I'm not going to be concerned with that because I've literally just been told. One other thing that I am finding, I do advise a lot of people to travel back into their childhood, imagine themselves in one of the difficult situations they had as a child, and visualize that, to see them effectively sitting there going through what they're going through, and then going and giving them a hug. So this is sort of inner child healing, and telling their inner child that it's okay, you're going to be fine and you get through this. And then it sort of dawned on me, a few years ago, I had this sort of epiphany that something was really fantastic. It was at the sort of height of everybody becoming quite low vibrational. And all of a sudden I had this, I don't know what it was, but something told me that the outcome of this work that we start here is going to be very amazing. And then when I'm telling people to go back and do this to their child, I thought, is this me doing this to myself in the future at that point? So the more we go back and we heal these parts of our past, the more we see we're actually getting the healing from our future self. Because it works both ways, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, I often look back at things that have happened in the past, just on the moment. Oh, that might have been because of that, or you know. And I've come to terms with things that at the time I knew was really difficult for me, and I've looked at it now and I've let go of that. I think sometimes, I don't know what you feel about this, but I think sometimes we trap ourselves, and you know, stepping out of those traps and programs is sometimes quite difficult. But you know, I don't know what you think, but I'm seeing people looking at themselves in a different way and being kinder to themselves. I had a woman the other day who spoke to me. It was amazing, actually. She said up until about 18 months ago, she used to beat herself up. I'm not good enough. Oh, I could do better. I'm this, I'm that. You know, why can't I do this? You know, and she's just let go of all that. And I think that's something that we're learning to do, isn't it? Is to actually be kind and, you know, look at ourselves in a better light. So what kind of practices do you do in terms of your clients? What kind of things do you work with? You know.
Well, so it's quite an interesting question, because I don't think I do a lot at all. I'm not even sure half the time why I'm sort of there. The information that I get is tailored to the individual, and they know exactly what the individual needs to be made aware of, what they need to heal at this particular point in time. So I'm just the middleman, and I never really take credit for anything, because I know it's not me who's doing it. I'm just sort of the channel in between the information. But I am seeing a lot of healing going on. I mean, I try to be the least egoic as I possibly can, because I try to teach that to other people. But somebody said to me that in the first half an hour, I usually do 2-hour sessions. In the first half an hour, they sort of accomplished more in that half an hour than a year and a half worth of therapy. And I was really quite touched for that. The information that comes through is, they know what level, spiritual level, people are on. They know what they need to hear. They know what will move them in the right direction. They are never, they're never cruel. They never have bad news. and this is why I always used to think that I was doing readings incorrectly. Because you hear of some people who do readings and say, oh, this bad thing's going to happen to you. They never say anything like that, because that's not what should be focused on. And they're also very aware that of the human power of manifestation. And predominantly, it is the free will choice of the individual. They will never overstep the mark of the free will. That's in the universal laws, as far as they're concerned, is the priority. So we'll basically go through things. A lot of healing happens. They tend to heal through me. And the other day in a reading, I did have to sit back for a minute, because there was so much healing coming through that it created almost like a vortex. And the other individuals sort of said, I feel very light, full of inner peace, sat right here at the moment. And I was just trying to get my head back into the, because it can be very powerful when this energy comes through, when this healing comes through, especially before talks. And so this is why I'm looking forward to the Shine seminars. Yeah. About a week before talks, I am receiving so much energy that it becomes a challenge for me to generally function for that week before. So I don't do talks that often, because I like to function.
Yeah. I found that my capacity for energy recently has grown massively, and I think partly because I did a Qigong course, which made a massive difference. But working with energies and bringing in codes and keys like you do, some of these sessions, do you find yourself kind of coming away thinking, wow, I've really achieved something, and that person has gone away and actually broken through? Do you have those kind of, or is it a gradual thing where over a period of weeks you'll?
No, this is not a gradual thing at all. This is, I'm not a very good business person. I'm not here to trap people into a 10-session thing. This is a one session. You get what you need in the one session, and if you want to come back, you're welcome. But I don't plan out a numerous session type thing. They don't. They're there for the moment, and they will stay with that individual from that point onwards. And that is actually quite interesting, because although they know everything about the individual, their past lives, their present life, their future lives, their astral life, they know all of that information, but sometimes they need to make a connection, and they make that through the reading. And once they've got that connection, that person leaves the reading having that connection with them for the rest of their lives, and can utilize that, can ask for their help and support in anything that they're doing. So it becomes sort of like a beacon of light. Okay, now we've made this connection, and that's it. So I don't need, the only thing I do is when I program the organ, I will recharge those. So I recharge those, but as far as the sort of the readings now, I don't recommend,
It's very much in the now then.
Yeah.
You're working in the now and in the moment,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Tell me a little bit about the organ charging, because I've got some experience of it, but I don't really think we've spoken about organ before, have we? So just give me a little bit of your take on it, how you came about it, and what you do with it.
I had a multi-wave oscillator given to me by a very good friend who does radionics, and that's the shape of the multi-wave oscillator. It's circles. It was designed by Levhosky, who took on an apprentice named Nikola Tesla, which most of
I've heard of him.
Yeah. Yeah. And he found that using this multi-wave oscillator, it would connect with the cells in a human body which run on multi-waves. And it basically, the symbol when you see it, so it can work in paper or it can work in the organ, it stops your body, your cells from absorbing Wi-Fi, radio waves, microwaves, 5G, and all those sorts of things. So I always wear one, but I put one under my pillow one night. And when I shut my eyes, this was the first time I had it actually, when I shut my eyes, I started to see these flashes of light. And it was that picture, which you can see in the background, which I've sort of recreated on the computer. It was a Fibonacci sequence with rainbow lights shooting out of it everywhere. And when I was watching this behind my eyelids, I thought, this is a healing frequency and I need to learn this because this is all around us. Now, on about 9 occasions, I have seen this appear in my peripheral vision, pulsating. And sometimes it's clear, depending on my focus and what I'm doing at the time. And sometimes it's just sort of faint, but it moves and it's got this vortex right at that point there. And it is all around us, but obviously the human eye has a set scale of what it's generally capable of. So then I was like, right, I need to get into this a bit more because this is something that I need to share with other people. So I started making the organ necklaces, and actually I first took some to your Shine seminar. That was my very first one out in Keystoke, May, I think, last year. And people started liking them, and they thought, oh, this is good, and they took them away. And then so then what I do is I program them with a scalar wave Tesla machine, and I program them with Sanjivini healings for different things. So some are programmed for inner peace, some are programmed for confidence, and I write on the labels what I program them for. And then every time I program a new one, part of the process is to re-energize all the ones that are out there, because scalar wave is not inhibited by time, space, or matter. So in my intention with the machine on or off, I can recharge all of those that are dotted around the world. So I've created a few. I started doing pyramids, and I've got some like discs and things that
Beautiful.
sort of...
That's beautiful. That's a big mug that's going to sit on there, Claire.
Yeah. But they, I mean, I always say when I'm doing a stall, you'll probably find someone wearing some, or wearing, you know, one of them, or someone who has one. Go and talk to them, because they will tell you. I've had some wonderful feedback, but again, I'm not a salesman. I'm not here to try and sell these. I'm here to get them new homes and do healing for the people that need them.
I think the things you produce are actually really beautiful. And I think that's the thing that gets me. I love coming to your stall and seeing, you know, just the array of beautiful things. I mean, I don't, just show that item again. Let's see that item, and I just want to just talk us through, you know, how you've come up with that. Where do you start with an item like that? How do you work with that?
Well, I start with a mold.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've got a few different molds, and the molds last for about 2 or 3 goes, and then I need to replace them. And they are a combination of metals, which I tend to use high-speed steel, which you can see there. There's aluminium, and there's high-speed steel swarf here as well. And then there's you have to have copper in them, and as well as crystals. So it's a combination of man-made material, metal, resin, crystals, and then I use some sort of, this one's a cosmic sensor in the middle there.
Yeah.
But I also use different types of sacred geometry, which will sort of combine it and pull all the healing into one projection point, effectively. And then I just try and make them as pleasing to the eye as possible, because they are to be appreciated.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. That looks like a message from source. because it is.
It is. Yeah,
It is. That's
it
actually what it
is.
is, isn't it? And it
Yeah,
looks like it as well. It's very activating. It's like a light language, but in a pattern. So
yeah.
it's kind of resonating with me in places that I've never had anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just kind of activated me in a way that only that item can do that. So
Well, I've got my latest one actually is I just grabbed that for a moment.
oh yeah, fantastic. It's interesting. You're the second person today that I've spoken to about scalar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had a conversation this morning about solar scalars, which I still don't understand what was going on in that conversation. But so have you've got a range of like wearables as well, things that you can wear, and
Yep, I do necklaces. I also do sort of pyramids and coasters so that you can effectively charge drinks. I have had a few customers who wanted to secretly give someone confidence. So they've
yeah,
bought them a confidence coaster and then they've given it to them and then they've sort of turned around and given them the feedback. It is very amazing. I mean, I'm really honored to have some of the feedback. But as I say, talk to other people who've got them.
yeah.
You know, I'm a very poor salesperson.
Well, I think your products speak for themselves, really, and you are producing them. They are completely unique. They're by hand and they're one-offs. So
Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing. If you buy something off you, that's it. It's over. There's no more. You've got that one, and it's meant for you. So
yeah,
I'm not quite
yeah.
sure how many things we've got of yours, but we've got a few, I think now. I know that Sarah's a keen shopper when it comes to your stall. So what have you got lined up? Have you speaking at all over the summer, or have you just got this?
No,
No.
you are the first that I'm going to be speaking at this year.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to be going to Uprise and Shine and which is down sort of Brighton way in September.
Yeah.
And we'll be doing the same talk, which will be spiritual alchemy,
Yeah.
which will be about opening up to get the lessons that life is bringing you, because existence has got so many lessons. There's so many signs all around us, and often we are conditioned to ignore them.
Mm, mm.
And this
Yeah.
is also why what you were saying earlier, when you were saying people are having all these sort of issues and things, I'm not good enough. That's come from conditioning of society. That's we didn't come out of the womb thinking we weren't good enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And in fact, it was interesting what you were saying about the kind of being at the bow of the ship. In the work that we're doing, and it is incredible. Actually, I'm amazed at the amount of people who have changed. And I think we've all changed, haven't we? Even
Yeah,
though a lot of us within the Southwest, we do know each other now. There's quite a big kind of group of people who do know each other. But, I'm amazed at how I've changed loads,
yeah,
absolutely loads. And, there's definitely this unity, there's this unity consciousness thing going on where we're kind of, I realized the other day, we're actually learning a lot of things at the same time. And if we're not learning them, we're just affirming them. So if we already knew them, we're affirming them with other people at the same time. And
yeah,
it's really, really powerful. There's something going on. I'm not quite sure what it is. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but there is definitely a raising, and we're doing lots of shadow work.
yes,
Lots of people doing a lot of shadow work, and interestingly enough, and I don't know whether you find that with your clients, but what I found is that people are talking about their shadow work, and they're talking about the challenges that they're facing, and I think that's really refreshing to actually, especially for men.
yeah,
I'll say that. To actually go, you know what? I mean, I'm not going to name any names, but there's a few men in my circle, and we're beating each other up at the moment. We're like, well, I'm doing this, and they're like, well, I'm doing that, and I'm like, well, I've got this to do, and they're like, well, yeah, I got that to do. I got those things to sort out, and we're actually, we're doing it, and it is really, really powerful to be able to kind of vocalize that. We're not sitting, we're being men, right? We're not sitting there and going, oh, well, I feel like this and I feel like that. We're not doing that,
Yeah.
but we're going, look, this is where I'm at. I mean, like at the moment, I'm having to grow into a more public speaking role. I'm not saying I'm afraid of that. That's not the issue, but it's getting into the flow of it. So, one of the things that I've got to do is find my voice.
Yeah.
And not be so, these are my thoughts on a piece of paper and I'm going to read from it. I need to just get into the flow, deep breath and just.
You should wear a lapis around your neck. Lapis Louisi.
Yeah.
That's a good throat chakra sort of truth.
Yeah, that's good. I've got my car's actually lapis blue.
Wow.
Which is funny. I didn't know that until a few weeks after I bought it. But yeah, no, I'll do that because there's definitely something for me. I don't know how you find it talking in public, but obviously I grew up on stage, so it's a bit different. I'm just remembering what I did all those years ago. But there's a lot of responsibility, isn't there?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's really interesting you should say that because I did a metaphysical talk at Cleve House, where you did the second Shine seminar, I believe, and the next one was about a year later, and I did it at Miles the Bases, and this is a story which well, it's an actual event which I don't think I got to tell you. What happens with me is if people bring attachments, shadow attachments or entity attachments with them, I'll have a coughing attack, and it's my body removing that shadow entity. I think it's got something to do with Thoth, who sort of steps in and doesn't allow that sort of entity to come towards me. And I stood up on stage at Miles's Bases event, and I was quite nervous because I hadn't done a talk in front of that many people. And within about 2 minutes, I had a coughing attack. And I thought, on stage is probably the worst place to do that. But I knew what was happening. And I said to the audience, I said, I'm really sorry. I must have sounded like I was completely mad. I said, I'm really sorry, but whoever's come in with something is not leaving with it. So please bear with me while I try and get through this coughing attack. And somebody gave me a glass of water, and that doesn't help in these situations at all. You would think it normally does, but it doesn't. And I got through it, and then at the end of the presentation, this one person came up to me and he said, "I'm really sorry." And you finish a presentation, somebody comes up to you and says they're sorry, and you think, what are you going to say?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, where's this going?
Yeah, he said, it was me. And I said, what was you? And he said, it was me. I've never met this person before. He said, it was me. I was sat in the audience. As soon as you stood up on the stage, something grabbed my arm so tightly that I felt so much pain that I wanted to get up and get out of the building. I looked at my friend and I almost said to him, I need to leave, but I thought he wouldn't get what I was saying. You started coughing. It released its grip. And he said, I felt this tingling at the base of my neck and then at the top of my head. And I felt this sense of inner peace that I haven't felt for years and years and years. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. Yeah. And I was quite gobsmacked. I know these things happen, but rarely do I get feedback.
Yeah.
So I was like, Miles, you need to talk to this guy. But nobody ever knew that's what actually happened. I mean, I said it, but I I don't know who believed me, but this guy definitely, he was like, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a multi-dimensionality, if I can put it like that, that we are stepping into. I was
Yeah.
speaking to someone in Stand in the Park the other day, and I am sure that she is really beyond the veil now. Because she was saying to me, I drove over to Bradford-on-Avon the other day, and I kept seeing the same people in all the cars, and there was things like on the periphery of her kind of consciousness, on her, in her visual view. And I was like, wow, what was that like? And she said it was a bit freaky. But I think some people are moving between the veils and walking between the worlds a bit, And
Most definitely.
yeah, I think that's, it is magical, isn't it? I
Yeah.
know I'm very aware of my use of words at the moment. Feeling
Yeah.
like, I don't know whether you feel that, but
Well, they're all spells. So we are responsible for what we're saying.
yeah. I mean, I said something in an interview the other day. And I remember, and I thought, I came away and I was like, that I got that word wrong. I said we need a collective epiphany, right? And I should have said we're having a collective epiphany. And
Yes.
it was such a huge difference in meaning, because
Yes.
I was in lack. I was
Yeah.
like, we need, and actually we don't need it. We are, and that says something about me. So, that's the transparency of what's happening at the moment. The words that are coming out, they're like truly a reflection of, or manifestation of, what you're feeling and what you're going through. It's very, very powerful.
I mean, need and want metaphysically effectively put a stick on the end of the carrot. They become the carrot. So if you want something or you need something, you're literally just chasing it with the carrot stick all the time. It keeps moving away from you every time you move towards it. If you say I have, or I'm thankful for, then manifestation powers of that, the time space order of it reduce dramatically.
It's interesting. It's really interesting, because I was talking to someone today and they were saying, you're talking from a place of separation. You're like, and I don't think I'm not in separation, but my language is still communicating something about me somewhere, that's saying there is separation programs running in me, even though, if somebody said to me, you in separation, I go, no, I'm in oneness with the universe, of course I am. But actually my language is saying something different. And she was very like, why are you saying that? And I was like, well, I'm not actually feeling that, it's just my language. But I think that there's something going on with my voice and the way I want to be able to communicate better what I truly am. What I truly am, and not just kind of using words. I don't use words nilly-willy, but just getting a bit more refined and nuanced.
Well, this will come with practice, most definitely, and it will come with awareness. You've obviously got the awareness because you're sort of, your senses are heightened on what you're saying, and you become almost slower in what you're going to say because you're thinking about how you best want to project that thought, which effectively is a manifestation. And this is what I find with people who are high on the spiritual level. They do this. With people who aren't, those are the people that are argumentative. And when you get sort of into an argument, people run on autopilot and they are expressing their own frustrations. This is what so many people really need to clock onto, because if somebody has a go at you, this should never be taken personally. It should be looked at as they have an issue and they're crying out for help. This isn't a personal attack. And this is what people need to sort of separate from the personal attack. Society has taught us that drama is the norm.
And
it's not. And if someone's verbally or attacking you or ridiculing you, they're showing you that they have an issue.
Hmm. Well, it's interesting you say that, because I was in a very difficult situation a few months ago. I was under a lot of pressure from a lot of places, and I've got quite a good constitution. Although I do get triggered, I get triggered driving. That's the one place in my life that I find it difficult. But I kind of I wasn't aggressive or wasn't argumentative, but I was definitely pushing back on what they were saying in quite a forthright way. When I came away from that conversation, the guy who was with me just went, "Eli, what was all that about?" And I said, I was just really frustrated. And he said, "You've literally just projected onto that person." And I went, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah, 100%. That was nothing to do with her, and it was all to do with you." And I learned that lesson. It was another little lesson that I learned along, about me and about getting triggered. And I get put in in my job sometimes under huge amounts of pressure, when I'm extremely busy and there's lots of things going on. And I'm usually very good, but sometimes I'm not. But I've learned to realize that, every time I go through that little process, I've actually got more capability the next time in that situation. So I'm actually building up this enormous kind of shield, which, the bigger the trigger, the less likely I'm going to get triggered now. So it's interesting what you were saying about practice earlier. I think people need to, not, I'm doing it again, need, I'd like
I'm
it's like,
ready to.
yeah, no, it's funny, isn't it? It's like people don't need to do anything, but it's like, a lot of good can come out of people who are working on themselves and doing little tiny things every day. And it's an amazing time to be around, because we're doing it communally.
Yes.
That's the difference, isn't it?
Yeah.
Before COVID, we kind of had relationships on different levels with one or two people maybe, but now, I don't know how you find it, but we are sharing much more about.
Yeah, I think it's because we've gravitated towards, I mean, that whole time period was almost like a stop, pause. Who is in your vibration and who isn't in your vibration? So we've gravitated towards people that we trust on a deeper level. It's much more soul connection. Therefore, we're able to be much more open with them. And in this way, it's almost like we are living in a different dimension, because there are still many people living in effectively what was our old dimension.
Yeah, not for long.
No,
They're coming too.
Yeah, they are.
They are coming too. There's no doubt about that. Claire, we're nearly out of time, and I think we should do this again.
Yeah, definitely.
If you'd like to come back. I was thinking, and in fact, I haven't spoken to anybody, but I will talk to you about it briefly. I'm thinking of doing an after celebration, like debrief with all the speakers, just to see what they think, and I'm really looking forward to your talk. Is there anybody that you're really interested in seeing or hearing? Is there anybody who you've looked to the lineup?
There's most people, most definitely. Yeah. I mean, I was just looking at the list, and you've got so many great people. I mean, the people that you've had at the Shine seminars, I can't fault any one of them, because they are all so good. I mean, the Shine seminars, everything that you do with that, it's got such a high vibration, and the speakers are just wonderful, and they're so energetic, and they're so giving, and so I totally trust in who you've got. They're all going to be wonderful, and yeah, I wouldn't like to put specific names. There are a sort of handful that I'm really interested in seeing, but everyone that you've got is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. I will say the last Shine seminars we did at Matara was particularly electric. The atmosphere there was, I mean, I was so emotional at the end. I couldn't believe that a group of people could be in a room and be so in that space. It was remarkable. It was remarkable. I don't really, as you know, I don't really do anything. I just booked the venue and put the call out, and people turn up. It's quite, it is remarkable. It is remarkable. Yeah, I think it's kind of like, out of the 45 speakers we've got, and I do have two special guests, in their own very, very special way, actually going to be there, and I can't put them on the list.
Ooh.
Well, what's really interesting is, well, I'm not going to say who it is because that would spoil the whole idea. But I'm certainly not putting them on the list to pull in more people, because I'm not putting them on the list. They're there on their merits for being there.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's a really interesting thing, and hopefully one of them will give us an amazing talk. I don't know how I'm going to fit him in, actually, because we're full for that. But somebody did say to me, which is really unfair, oh, who do you really want to see? And I just said, well, I've got a top 10, but they're all at number 1.
Yeah. That's good.
I've got a top 10 where they're all at number 1, and yeah, it is going to be special. I'm very much looking forward to your talk too, Claire. So thank you for spending some time with me today.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it, and I'm sure I'll see you very soon. So thanks very much for being with us.
Yeah, thank you.
I really appreciate it, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, definitely. Take care.
Cheers. Bye.